your eyes on the RC500. This is a Brad Lackey replica or Graham Noyce replica. They won the '79 World Championship with this bike. Brad actually kicked ass on this in the World GPs also. The best red rocket you've ever ridden with a balanced and twin-rated CR500 engine. That's what you got. This thing's absolutely insane. Guys, I'm the king of ping. I've ridden more CR500s than any man alive in the last 10 years. Everything from every year CR500 made billet block aluminum frame 500s, and I put this one on the podium as the sexiest CR500 we've ever had through the shop. Why? Well, what you're looking at is a tribute, a replica of a factory race bike. And these weren't available to the public. They're only built by Honda. I have this poster right here of the 77 RC500, and I have the 78 RC500 right there. That one was ridden by Brad Lackey. I'll get into that in a second, but they were factory race bikes. Today, one of those bikes, if they were to come up for sale, would be in excess of $300,000, and they just don't come up for sale. This bike right here, how did this come to pass? Well, an engineer, his name is Phil Denton, owns a company, Phil Denton Engineering over in the UK, built 3 of these to run at Farleigh Castle for the Vet MX GP over there. And 3 American riders went over there, and I forget their names right now. I've got it written down somewhere. I'll remember in a second. I know Ryan Hughes was one of them. But they went over there to race these bikes, and this one was built by Denton Engineering, and it was never raced. It was sent back to the United States to a collector friend of ours who just had to sell his entire collection. This is the crown jewel of the collection. It is an absolutely spectacular piece of moto history and engineering. That swing arm is a hand-built aluminum swing arm. It's got the period correct Fox air shocks, and the engine. I've ridden a lot of CR500s, more than anybody alive today that I know of in the last 10 years. It's our thing. We've done dozens and dozens of these. And this, when you watch the video of it riding, you'll see there's a marked absence of the rear fender shaking. Usually the CR500 rear fenders shake due to a harmonic balance or imbalance. This engine is the best. I rode a Ken O'Connor CR500, a liquid cooled one, but that was as vibration free as this one. But this one takes the cake as the least vibration of any 500 I've ridden. From the crank up, this was completely built to be a purpose-built race bike. It's got an incredible power band from down low up to red line. I only rode it in the parking lot. I didn't take it in the dirt. And the amount of riding time on this bike is what you can see on the original tire that it was built with, which is barely any. I've done way more damage than that. I didn't want to destroy the tire, but you just running up the driveways, this is all this bike has done, has not been on the track. The other ones that were raced at Farleigh Castle, I don't know what happened to them, but this is the first one that we've had come through the shop, the first one I've seen for sale in the States. And I actually contacted Phil Denton Engineering and messaged his son, Stevie, who I think his son Stevie's running the shop, to get some more information about this build. But a spectacular piece of moto history. And if you look at the quality of the way this is done, like a service Honda CR500, it was just the engineering on it was done by someone who knew what the hell they were doing. It looks like a factory motocross bike, the way that the everything came together on this. And the swing arm was made to Denton spec for this motorcycle, handmade swing arm. The shocks, the forks are off of a Honda CR480, and they are completely rebuilt and like brand new. The front wheel is off a CR480. The frame started life as a 1980 CR250 frame, and the engine is a 1983 CR480 Honda engine that's been bored. I think it's closer to 500 cc's. I was trying to get the exact spec. I don't have it on me right now, but it was bored and completely rebuilt from the crank up. V-force reed valve, key and carburetor, custom handmade airbox, ported and polished cylinder, balanced crank. The cylinder head's been cut. It's a very high compression engine, over 200 PSI. If you take a look at the this side of the cylinder here, you can see it's been set up with a compression release right here. You just click this down, and it starts fairly easy with that. Without that, it's extremely difficult to kickstart. You can see the custom CNC machine aluminum engine mounts, the custom handmade exhaust, the spacer plate on here for a heavier flywheel, the V-Force 3 intake, reed valves. Of course, all the running gear is new on it, brand new chains and sprockets. Like I said, the bike's never been raced or ridden. It's got the oversized pegs, PFR pegs, aluminum brake lever, lots of dished hardware on here. I believe that's titanium. Just beautifully done. Just a spectacular piece of motorcycle history, and it runs better than it looks. It's no vibration. It's carbureted perfectly. It shifts beautifully. The suspension's on point. It's a tall, big bike, and it feels like it just came out of the crate in 1980. The fork lowers are in beautiful condition. The front wheel is like brand new. The hub is redone. The brakes are redone. Again, that's a CR480 front end, triple clamps. You can see the upper triple clamp was restored and coated. All the hardware, brand new Renthal bars, brand new grips, brand new levers, brand new, all new cables. Everything's new on the bike and engineered to be the ultimate race weapon. Even the bolts on they're all dished bolts everywhere. I'm not sure if those are titanium. I could find out, but they look like titanium to me. Just a really trick machine. When it rolled off the truck, my jaw dropped. I was like, and then when I heard it start and run, there's a couple idling videos on Instagram that got hundreds of thousands of views, and it's just a gnarly. It just sounds so good. The liquid cooling kind of quiets the engine down. You get a sound off these massive fins, unlike anything else. And ironically, I just saw this other one come up. This one's over in the UK. This one's built to look like the 79. They're very similar, except for the FIM in 1979 required the number plates on the side of the bike to be way out back here. If you look at the 77 and the 78, the number plate is where it had been all along. So this is the first year of the number plate out back on the 79. This one was built to replicate the 78. And again, 78, 77, 78, 79, Honda did not offer a Works or a 500 to the public. They only had Works bikes, and the factory Works bikes that was before the claim rule. They were loaded with titanium, hand-built monsters rated for over 63 horsepower. They were absolute rocket ships. And of course, Works suspension. And this bike was built to look exactly like that. This 79 here is actually for sale. It's in the UK. It's a 79 RC500 Grand Noyce Honda 1979 World Championship tribute bike. Ours is for sale. This one's still for sale as far as I know. This one has an actual tank, swing arm, forks, kickstarter, shifter, and carburetor from the factory bike. So it's got some bolt-on parts from the factory bike. Brand new motor with special custom frame, fiberglass side panels. Everything is new and perfect. This is an amazing example of the 79 World Championship bike. You won't find a better one in the world. Well, we might have just found a better one here. This one, I don't know if it's better, but it's damn close to the same. But this one here This was online. I saw this. I was doing some research. The guy named Rick Lano has it for sale, and says it's as real as you can get without being the actual bike. Manufacturing parts on this baby, it is a steal at $50,000. He said the actual bike would be $300,000 to $500,000. So if you could get a works bike, if they're even for sale, and none are. But I don't know who Rick is, but Rick Lano, Laino, he's got one for sale also. This one here is Phil Denton Engineering is known for being one of the best custom parts and builders of these types of bikes on the planet today. I don't know anybody with a reputation like he has, where he built them for Farley Castle, and the fit and finish on the bike is beautiful. It's got a beautiful paint job on the aluminum tank. He's got it covered. It was put on right after they painted it to protect it so it wouldn't scratch. It's just a removable clear vinyl on both sides of the tank. He went with the number 9X on there. If you don't like the number 9, we can change the panels. We can put a 19 on it, a 102. If you want to make it a Brad Lackey replica, we can put a 19 on there. The cylinder head was left unpainted. If you wanted that painted, we could paint that. We can do just about anything. But the bike is perfect the way it is. I wouldn't do a damn thing to it. It's a spectacular example of a really rare exotic motorcycle. I'm going to take it off of the stand in a second. Before I do that, I want to show you some of the, check this out. This is Jim Pomeroy's, the first year of the 77 was this is soup. If you ever find one of these come up, you snap it up, because this is, if you can prove it's the real one, these are basically priceless. It's an actual works bike, 405cc, 5-speed. Jim Bimbo Pomeroy was best known for his first aboard this bike. He was the first American rider to ever win a moto at the USGP on that bike. Also finished 6th in the Trans AMA for 77. He'll always be remembered as the first American to win a Grand Prix on that bike right there. And this is Brad Lackey's. Guy's a legend. This is his 455 speed. Horsepower, 63 horsepower, 209 pounds, which is ridiculous. That wouldn't even be legal. I think they have the weight limit now is 219. I'm pretty sure this would be underneath the weight limit. You'd have to weight it down. The bikes were super light back then and simple. And 63 horsepower, that's as much horsepower as the factory 450s have today. The brakes and suspension wasn't as good back then, and the handling probably wasn't. But the motors would heat up on a 30-minute moto because their air cooled wouldn't have as much horsepower. But for the first 10 minutes, talk about gnarly horsepower. I'll bet these make more torque than a works 450 does today, because the two strokes generally make about 25% more torque. And with 63 horsepower, it's probably putting down some serious torque also. But there's a little bit of history. And of course, Graham Noyce, who's still around. I've seen some photos of him lately at races. Graham's a great guy. He won the 79 World Championship on a bike that looked exactly like this, except for the number plate for 79. FIM made him move it right to here. So I think it looks better like this. It's more of a period correct look. I think it looked a little silly with the number plate out back. It kind of hid the shocks a little bit, but Fox Air shocks are brand new. The swing arm's brand new. All the running gear's brand new. It was a mint 1980 chassis and a mint 480 engine that he used as a donor. Cases were split. Engine was built from the crank up with all new bearings, gaskets, seals, and the best of everything that money could buy. It's a spectacular piece. I want to show you the frame rails on the bottom of this. If you look, you can see how this frame rail right here, this lower cradle, was modified by Phil Denton Engineering to mount this engine. Those are custom motor mounts right there. That's a custom CNC machine engine mount right there. And then the cradle on the back here, this was all this. If you see this bracket right here, that's all custom made by Phil Denton Engineering. The guy's an engineer. He's not a backyard hack. Knows what he's doing. The airbox is custom made by him. Engine cases were I think they were powder coated. It's a really thick paint or powder coating. I'm 95% sure it's powder coated. All the hardware is brand new. If you look under the bottom here, you can see they actually welded the case right here. I don't know if that was to strengthen it, or if there was a chip or a crack in it, but they actually welded the case right here on this case half before they reassembled it. And they put the Yama bond on the gasket to ensure that there's no leaks. There's not a leak on this thing. It's beautiful. The frame rails,
of course, are in beautiful condition, no dings, just a little bit of black from being on the stand right there. But it was hand built from the frame up, crafted into what it is, which is it's a works. You could call it a works replica or a works tribute bike. Those are semantics. What it really is a bike built for public use that is not a factory bike, and a bike that didn't exist, a bike that they never made a CR500 back then, or 1981 was the first year, and that was a 450, and it was a monoshock, single Pro Link, single rear shock, and then in 82 and 83 they made the 480, and then in 84 they made the first and only air-cooled 500. I believe this one's bored out, and it's no longer a 480. So I don't have the exact bore and stroke, but it's insanely fast and has a lot of, it's fast, but it's controllable. You know, when you're riding it on the tar, if it's a lightning, it'll just light up the rear tire. This one just hooks up. It's got a overweight flywheel on it, I believe. Flywheel weight, that's why it's got the spacer there for the flywheel weight. And it was done right. This was done to race at Farleigh Castle. Ended up being shipped to the States and never ridden over there. And it's a piece of motor royalty. It's a lot more special to me than any crate out of the crate stock CR500 would be. And you know what the actual works edition would go for. And to build one of these today, if Stevie was willing to build one, you'd have to come up with a mint 80 CR250 frame and chassis and a 500 engine. You'd have to ship it to England and have all the custom fabrication work done in the swing arm. The Fox shocks alone would set you back well over $1,000. The custom handmade exhaust is probably $1,500. All in, it's going to be a very expensive, time-consuming project. If he would, I'm not even sure if they are still building these, to be honest with you. I do have a call on them to find out, but I actually emailed him, been playing email tag with him, but I don't have his phone number. If anybody has his phone number, message it to me. I'd like to talk to him to see what it would cost to build one of these today. But I know the built 500s from AJ start in the low to mid 20s. The guy who's got the factory parts is looking for 50 grand for his. We're going to auction this off. Our reserve will be a lot less than that, and we'll let the market determine what this is worth. I don't know of another one for sale in the country. There is that one overseas that he's asking $50,000 for. I don't know that guy. I can't confirm or deny if his has factory parts on it, but this, to the best of my ability, I described exactly the way we got the bike. It came in perfect like this. We did send it through the shop and make sure the air filter is perfect, and it's got fresh brand new oil in it, and put fresh VP in it, and gave it a nut and bolt. But other than that, it's a stunning piece. The way it came off of Phil Denton's bench when he built it a few moons ago. If you have any questions about it, give us a call at 860-454-7024. If you want an exclusive piece of Honda moto history and you can't afford the $300,000 to $500,000 works bike, this is it, man. This is the next best thing. Thanks for watching, and God bless America.